Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Beach Secrets Podcast. New episode. This time we have a first female athlete on the podcast. She's an 8-time AVP finalist. She has one huge win. She has a first win of AVP League. Really impressive. Recently won Denver. She's an MVP of AVP. She's a best server, most improved player, and I can just keep going on. But Geena, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for coming. I'm so excited about this conversation. You're a really inspiring athlete, and I know a lot of side stuff that we're going to talk about, like your routines and so on. But I'm really excited to hear your story.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to share some bits of knowledge and some of my experience too.
Yeah, and I believe that fans are excited too. So let's start from the beginning. Let's backtrack. I know I mentioned your awards, but let's backtrack to how it all started. How did you get into volleyball?
Yeah, I picked up volleyball when I was about 11 years old, and at the time I was just playing club volleyball. But I grew up in Southern California, and so I played indoor volleyball, and then in the summertime I would play beach volleyball down at Huntington Beach. So for me, I've always played both sports, but when I was that age, there wasn't collegiate beach volleyball. So I was getting recruited for indoor volleyball. And yeah, I mean, I was able to get a scholarship to go to USC, and I played indoor volleyball there. And then very convenient timing was that going into my 5th year, so I was finishing my master's, they added beach volleyball as a collegiate sport. And NC2A rules at the time was that you could play 4 years of one sport and you could play a 5th year of a different sport. And so it was kind of like the cherry on top to my collegiate athletic career. Obviously, I've always loved beach more, but I also loved indoor too. So it was nice to be able to play both in college. Nice.
So when you mentioned straight from beginning, you were playing both sports. Mm-hmm. Did you know that you wanted a career like? Was your heart already in beach volleyball, or at that time you were just trying to figure out which one do you like more, or which door are you going to open first?
Right after college?
Yeah, or even throughout the college.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really know what direction I wanted to take it. I think, I had a lot of friends that went and played overseas for indoor volleyball, and I didn't think that wasn't super appealing to me. It seemed like a lot to be away from your family and friends for months, for most of the year. And so weighing out the pros and cons of that, the cons tended to outweigh that for me in that decision. And actually it was interesting timing too, because after I graduated college, that was the year that during that time, AVP was still bankrupt. Or it was, nobody had bought it, it again. And so there was this limbo period of, maybe like the NVL had like just started to come around. So there wasn't a lot of opportunity for beach volleyball at that time. And so I kind of was indecisive about what I wanted to do with my life. I knew I didn't want to go play overseas and play indoor volleyball. I was kind of done with that. I still loved beach volleyball, but there wasn't an opportunity for me to see that through. And actually, what was funny was so I took about a year off after college, and then I actually interned for the AVP back in college in 2009, and somebody who still worked for the AVP. So the AVP got bought by Donald's son shortly after that, and then he hired on somebody who had basically who I worked for when I interned for the AVP, and he reached out to me and said, "Hey, we're building the AVP back up. We're building out our team. I know you studied marketing and communications in school. We're trying to hire like a digital marketing manager, somebody to help manage like the website, social media, all that stuff." So he reached out to me about the job, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is great. Like, I would love to, interview or talk to Donald about this opportunity." And so I came in, and I remember I had my interview, and then they hired me, and my first day on the job, and Donald calls me into his office, and he was like, "So you're going to play too, right?" And I was like, "Wait, what? Like, I can work and I can play?" And he's like, "Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you? You're traveling to the tournaments. You're already going to be there. You might as well." And I'm like, wow. And so him just simply saying that one comment to me was what made me think like, okay, yeah, let's play. And it was more so like a non-committal. Like, I'm here, I'm having fun. I'm getting to continue to play the sport I love.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and so then I worked for the AVP and played my first year on tour. It was 2014, and I ended up having a pretty successful initial year. Like I think I got a 7th place in Manhattan Beach, and that was when Angela White, also known as Benny, and I first teamed up. And so then after that first season, it was a little bit of a conflict of interest, and so Donald then approached me and was like, look, like, we didn't think you were going to do as well as you did. I'm sorry that we didn't believe in you, but like, it's also, we need somebody who can commit to working.
Yeah.
We would love to have you stay on, but we also understand if you want to pursue this. And I was like, obviously I need to pursue this sport. So that was the deciding factor of like, the initial start to my career and how it all happened.
That's awesome. That was like, it kind of feels for me like it was like a huge sign next to the road, like, hey, like, you could do this. And if you were indecisive, that was like, okay, that's a pretty big sign.
For
I have to listen. And nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. And I mean, congrats on all of that. And
thank you.
That job, you see, like sometimes accepting a job can actually like
open doors.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just never know.
That's awesome. And just to kind of reflect on what you said, I got information. It's an insider information that you were the first athlete that got a scholarship for beach volleyball. How did that happen? Like, did you know that was a possibility, or somebody approached you with that? And because that opened the door to nowadays what's becoming more and more, right? They're allowing the sponsorship deals, and like these girls are actually like making more money than people who have real jobs, like, because
I know
being an athlete, like, in college is huge now.
Yeah.
But as you said, it was just, the sport just started, beach volleyball just started.
Yeah.
So how did that happen with the scholarships? And was that like a trigger for other people to start getting scholarships?
Yeah, and I think the inaugural year too, there were some programs that were allowed to allot. I don't know if it was the first year, but it was upwards of 6 scholarships. Maybe if the program had the funding, maybe it didn't. Mm-hmm. But the first year, I mean, so many of the programs, it was pretty much indoor girls
who wanted to
who filled up the spots for the beach team, because the sports weren't separate at the time. And so when I was finishing up indoor volleyball at USC, Mick Haley was a coach at the time, and he was a huge proponent of getting the sport passed. So he was working with a lot of different people and boards to try to get this passed. And he had told me, like, I've talked to our athletic department, and if this sport gets passed, like, we're going to be allotted 1 scholarship, and like, that'll be for you. So, it worked out. And I mean, I'm super grateful for how it did work out for me, but I mean, it would be awesome to go play 4 years of beach volleyball in college. That these girls,
I would love it.
I know that these girls have this opportunity for. So, but I'm still grateful for the year that I got.
That's amazing. Yeah. So since it was the first year, was it like a little messy, like, or was it like actually like pretty structured for?
Oh, I mean, I can't even remember how many schools. It was probably like, I don't know if it was like 6 to 10. It was pretty small. Okay. And we didn't, you can't have an NC2A tournament unless there's 40 plus schools for a certain amount of years. So it took a little while before the first NC2A championship happened. Okay. So when I played, it was the AVCA championship. So the AVCA
I played
organization. That. Yeah.
Well, it was kind of similar, right? Men's beach. They tried to to make it happen and grow it. The problem is with the number of scholarships. Right. And when I played at Westcliff, it was first year it was, I think, 4 teams at the championship. And then next year was 6 to 8. I'm not sure. Okay. But yeah, it was AVCA because it's not, we can say it's not official sport yet, right. Accepted by a big community. But now, if you say it's 8 schools, now it's like hundreds, right? Right. Yeah. It's impressive.
It's awesome. I love it. Yeah. And so so the first year they had the AVCA championships in Gulf Shores, and they also had it very tennis-like. So they had not only the team championship, they also had the individual pair championship. Nice. So,
did you play both?
No. That year, Pepperdine was very strong, and they Summer Ross was on the team. Wow. Leela Nash is her name now. Kim Hill, who played on the national team for women's indoor volleyball. Caitlin Rachich, they had a lot of girls that had a lot of beach experience. So they were and where I was it was pretty much me and then indoor volleyball from USC, which was great. I mean, the girls were awesome, and I think we got 5th as a team, and then and then maybe I got fifth as an individual pair as well. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't as messy as you might have thought. Like, it was pretty organized, and
Nice.
just to see how it's grown though, and see how much,
Yep.
I mean, the level has grown. Like, it's so cool to see, and I'm just honored to have like been a pioneer of all that.
It's amazing, and
Yeah.
I mean, I was lucky enough that they let me play. You know, I was
Yeah.
older than everyone, but I always dream of that opportunity. You know, back when I was in Europe, is like, how cool would it be, you know, to study and be a part of a team that actually has like professional competition. So, I mean, I lived my part through Marine's career at LMU, right? It was amazing, and I was encouraging her to go to LMU because of John Mayer, because I'm a huge fan.
Oh yeah.
But that was exciting, and just hearing everything how she's doing it. Then when I got opportunity,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter how big or small the school was, I was just like super happy to have teammates
Yeah.
and just live at least a year of it.
For sure. That's awesome.
So then to jump to AVP.
Okay.
Well, you finished college, right? You saw the huge sign next to the street saying you should try this sport.
Yeah.
And you had success, and then you just stick with the same partner. And was that your first Atlanta win, or?
Yeah, well, so I played with Benny for my first 4 years on tour, and then
You had many finals. I just recently saw it, right?
yeah, eight,
Eight.
I think, like within the.
Two of you and Benny.
Oh no, Benny and I think we had four.
Four.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we had. I mean, we were close to winning one in New Orleans, but I think we lost 15-13 in the third set.
No.
Yeah, we were playing Kim DiCello and Kendra Van Sweeten.
Okay.
It was like 30-mile-per-hour gusty wind. That was a crazy weather weekend. And then kind of after Benny, she had to semi-retire, but she also went to go live with her now husband, who was on the East Coast. And then I kind of jumped around a little bit, but in 2022, I remember I had like played a round robin with some girls in the off season, and I had met Julia Scholes, and then Julia Donlin now. Yeah. And we had great chemistry on the court, and you know how hard it is to sometimes find chemistry, and so when you find
Sometimes it's almost impossible.
right? Yeah. And so we had great chemistry, and I just I kept texting her throughout her last collegiate season at USC, and we ended up teaming up, and then we got our first win in Atlanta that summer.
That's
which
awesome.
was awesome. Yeah.
Congrats to that.
Thank you.
Did you keep playing after that, like more tournaments?
Yeah, we finished up the season together,
Nice.
and then she started to make a big international push. That's when she teamed up with Betsy.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and then I kind of jumped around a little bit again until last year, where Tony and I were able to make. We teamed up kind of right before the AVP season started. We had a rocky start, but you know, we teamed up pretty late, so we didn't have that preseason to build off of together. And then we ended up making that late push and qualifying for the league, the inaugural year of the league, and then winning as San Diego Smash with Chase Buttinger and Miles Evans.
Yeah, that was the next thing to talk about. Is first time organizing the league, and you guys get to play amazing volleyball and win it. How was the whole organization? How did it feel to play again, right?
Yeah.
Like, you played the first beach volleyball collegiate, but this was like, again, like a new organization, new way of competing, right? The league, we don't really see that often in beach volleyball. I know there's some kind of projects in Europe and they're trying something like that, but how was that? I know there was like a men's and a women's team, and how did it all feel?
You know, at the start, I think a lot of people weren't really happy about your men's team and your women's team's records being reliant. You know, your success was dependent upon each other.
Yeah.
And I thought that the guys and Tony and I did a great job of embracing that experience. And we did a lot of team bonding together. Like, we went to lunch together.
Nice.
We did no jump together. Sometimes we would do serve and pass together. So there were things that we were doing outside of just, you know, showing up to the league events and competing that made us develop this trust and camaraderie and accountability and developed this communication, and we would game plan with each other sometimes too before matches.
That's
so
awesome.
yeah, I think we embraced the experience, and I think that it definitely showed when it came to the finals. And even though this past year our success wasn't dependent on each other, we still had that like team camaraderie that I felt supported by them. After Tony got injured and stuff, and I was kind of trying to find a partner. So yeah, I mean, it's a different format, and you got to just learn how to make it your advantage.
Yeah, that makes sense. Kind of what you said, and I think that was a great idea. Team bonding and stuff, right?
Yeah.
You don't necessarily now depend on the other team, but last year it was together men's and women's result, right? Would rank you on the top of the list.
Yeah.
And even at the end in the finals, both teams had to win together, right? For people who don't know, the finals, if a woman team would win from one team and a men team from the other team, final golden set would be played, half of the set, girls or guys, and then next half of the set, the other whoever didn't play the first part.
Right.
Which means you fully depend on whoever was your other pair.
Yeah.
Which could be, problematic if you're not happy with your second pair. But I think what you did, creating that team chemistry, it's kind of easier knowing that someone has got your back.
Yeah.
That if you don't win that day, that weekend, they can still win, and you're kind of like, hey, we got it. I think that was a great idea to like create that team bond, because I believe that most of the teams like skip that part and just be like, if we do well enough, we'll be fine,
sure.
and then maybe getting frustrated. So definitely interesting format. I would say a lot like emotional. I can see a lot of teams got emotional with, like depending on someone else. Like beach volleyball, we're somewhat individual and a team sport, right? Because it's two people, but it's like still has aspects of individual sport. But now when you have 4 players, it's fully team sport. Like you depend on 3 people, so you're not 50-50 anymore. So I think that was huge. And then this year they changed it. How did the shift feel?
Yeah, I mean, this year you weren't dependent upon each other, but there was a bonus at the end of the season if you were the first or second city
together, right?
Ranked, together. But then going into the championships, it was individual. So if you made the finals, you auto qualified for the league next year too. So yeah, I mean, I think there were some adjustments that were made based off of feedback from certain players, and looking back, I'm like, I kind of liked the other format too. But, also in these sets to 15, it's like anything can happen.
Oh, my God.
And you get a couple aces or you start down 1-4, like it's so hard to come back. So, yeah, despite all that, like there's only so much you can control. And I think, the AVP is trying to build something that that's going to be profitable and that fans are going to love and the athletes are going to engage with too. So, yeah, I mean, it's different, but like, I think we just got to like I said, embrace it, support it, and hope that everybody has everyone's best interest in mind too.
I would say the good word is hope, right?
Yeah.
Because obviously like the sport is not really moving upwards, unfortunately, like for World Tour, slight movements upwards.
Yeah.
And then AVP just going like less and less big tournaments. And obviously they're trying to make a push with this AVP League, which for me, for example, who didn't make the league, it is pretty hard knowing that, hey, if you don't make the league, there's not that much to play.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like even those contenders, they were almost like on purpose made a little less fancy, so the whole attention goes to the league.
Yeah.
Like I was honestly shocked when Marine won Upaka in Virginia that there was no trophy. Like it could be at least a trophy, but in my perspective, they might do that on purpose. So there's no like big celebration and post and this and that, because that's not where attention is. It's the league.
Right.
And it's good because everybody wants to be in the league now, What I would love to see, and I talked to Phil and talked to a couple more people, I just want to see it expand.
Yeah.
Either two men teams and 2 women teams per city, or more cities.
Yeah.
But just having 8 teams is really limited.
Yeah.
So for me, I think a lot of people don't get a chance to compete, and I love playing. I'm not in this sport for money or anything. I just want to play, and just being like having lack of opportunities is kind of upsetting.
Yeah, it's definitely frustrating, and I feel for the people that aren't a part of it, because there are so many good teams.
So many good teams.
The field is so deep. It's, I see both sides, and then the other side of it is that they need to prove that it's like you need to crawl before you walk, so they need to prove this model can work before they grow it to more cities, before they maybe franchise it, before they add multiple teams per city, and have the funds to be able to, they want to make it so that it's like everyone who's in it is able to it makes financial sense to them too. So yeah, I think the biggest thing too is just going to be people tuning in and watching it, people coming to the events and supporting it, buying a ticket, I just think that's, and of course we need the athletes to buy in too, in a sense. So there's a lot of things that need to happen in order for this to.
Yeah, everybody has to be, again, I like the word hope.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not necessarily for it or against it. I just hope that this model works and that they expand it, and then everyone's going to be happy.
Right.
So we can complain about it, but we're not going to do anything, or we can pump it how it's the best thing in the world. But it's all going to stay wherever it's right now until, we just hope and see what happens. But
for sure.
Anyway, let's put that on the side. I'm curious to hear how was your season, this season. It was really like a lot of last second you have to decide what you're gonna do. Take the partner, right? You and Tony started pretty well.
Right.
And then Tony got injured, for people who don't know. And then you were in the middle of the league without a partner. She got a big injury that she couldn't continue playing. So what happened then? They called you and they're like, hey, you need to pick up someone? Or did you have to pick up someone for the whole league? Did you have to pick up someone for each weekend? Or,
right.
And then tell me, what was your thought process? Like, am I going to pick up someone for the end of the season? Or you're just going to try to find someone the best possible to finish the league? Or
Well, it's funny. I remember I finished the Hermosa event, and I was talking to Benny, who's been my coach now the past couple seasons, and I was like, I just realized that this whole season, I never had more than 2 weeks at a time training with the same person.
Wow.
Which was like, and I remember there were certain moments throughout the year where, it's a little frustrating because you're trying to find some consistency, you're trying to find some rhythm. But at the same time, I was like, you know what, this is a great growing opportunity for me, where I'm going to learn how to adapt to different styles of play, to different personalities. I want to try to bring out the best of whoever it is I'm playing with. And also there's only so much you can control. And so I was really trying to just fine tune my game and, do what I could. And so, after Tony got hurt, obviously that really was a bummer, and I feel for her, and she's, making she's working really hard to recover and hope, come back next year and stuff. But she got hurt in the middle of our match against Taryn and Kristen in San Diego, and that was the Friday night match. So going into Saturday, so we're sitting in the hospital, and it's like 11 p.m. at night, and the AVP is messaging me, making sure Tony's okay, but they're like, we're trying to be cognizant of your situation, but we also need to know, are you going to compete tomorrow? And if you are, who's your sub? And part of me was like, I just want to make sure with Tony that it's okay. Even though, of course I wanted to play, but I just needed to talk to my teammate. I needed to, get her blessing to be like, you should do it, and obviously that was the first thing she said. I didn't even need to ask her, and because she's amazing. But, and what happened that weekend also, I remember, because Wyatt happened to be playing Harrison also, and Abby was in town watching and supporting him. And it was so late, and I texted her, and I was like, Abby, would you be willing to jump in? And she was so awesome, and so yes, I'm in, let's do it. And so we did a serve and pass the next day, and where we had 30 minutes on the court to kind of talk about what I like, what kind of sets she liked, what I like, and work through that a little bit. And then we played that night. I mean, we had a great match against Therese and Meg, and we fell a little short, but she was so awesome to have jumped in with me last minute like that. And I can't thank her enough for doing that.
That's
After
awesome.
that, I had a month off before my last 2 league weekends. So I had a little bit of time to kind of, whether it was figure out who I was going to continue to play with. what was a bummer was there were a lot of blocker options. That was right when there was this international stint where it was like people were playing in the King of the Court. There was a Poland event, there was Stade, and then some people were signed up for Wapaka or like flying from Stade. So like there were all these potential options that weren't even going to be here for the next however many weeks.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was like important to make a connection and maybe get in the sand with somebody who was here, physically here. I also, Devin Newberry was very much so on my radar as well because I really like her game and I like her energy. And she happened to stay home. She was home during that stint as well. And so we were able to talk, and she was also super excited to have the opportunity to play with me in the league. So that ended up working out. Yeah, so it was great, and I really enjoyed playing with everybody I got to play with, and and then I teamed up with Megan Rice later in the year. I played with Avery Jackson in Denver because the contenders rules are you can't play with somebody ranked in the top 50 or someone already in the league. So went down the list, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've seen her play. She's awesome. I texted Billy Allen. Billy Allen was like, she's our best side-out player. I was like, give me your number. And then, yeah, so I played with such an array of people this year and amazing women. And I can't thank any of them enough for like the support and them. So, and then I played with Mariah Whalen at the end of the year, and we won the Santa Barbara event and the AVP next. So it's like, it's so cool to just, like I said, the adversity of it all was a little frustrating at first. But I think if you go into these experiences and these opportunities with a growth mindset in mind to see like, okay, what can I learn from this? How can this help me? How can I help others? Like, I think regardless win or lose, it's going to be rewarding. So that's what it was for me.
That's amazing.
Thanks.
Thanks for sharing that. No, that's awesome. And just hearing you talk about different partnerships, it just seemed like success. It was a lot of success, which is really inspiring, right? I talked to Arnaud Gauthier from France, and he kind of mentioned something you mentioned too. Was he said his best skill was trying to make his partners better. And he said, I think I'm really good in finding what makes the best version of my partner. And he gave example. He screamed at one partner, like, you're gonna let them do this to you, like. And then he said he was really fragile, so he was really trying to be supportive.
Right, yeah.
And then another one, he didn't really care, but he just needed a good set, so he was really working hard as a player to get really good in setting, so he can get the set on top of the net, so the partner can score. So,
yeah.
Would you relate to that, or
yeah.
What do you think what explains the success that whoever you play with, you were either winning or being really, really competitive?
Yeah. Well, I think what's really important before you even step on the court with somebody is having a conversation about, your values, about what it looks like when you're frustrated, about what you need in those moments, how your partner can support you or what you don't want from them. So there's a lot of things that I feel like people don't really address until they're already in a situation where it could be a problem or it is a problem. And then you have to address it after the fact where there's maybe some emotions tied into it. So I don't know if you know my sports psych, Dr. Justin Blake, him and I actually wrote a book called, it's like the Partnership Pillars book. And so it's actually developed 4 beach volleyball partnerships. And the idea of it is to do this workbook individually, and then you come together as a team and discuss some of your results. So the first half is like self-assessment type stuff. So there's like the big 5 personality tests, communication styles, love languages. And
is that the book that John Mayer uses?
I don't think so, but
it's something similar. I know Marine used to fill that.
Oh, really? Oh, cool. Yeah, I don't. Maybe it's like I know John Mayer has done stuff where like the teams work on like values and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, we kind of like took that and took it a little bit further. So the book is like, first half is self-assessment, and the second half is where you can do like answer some questions individually and then collectively as a team. And so I think it's what happens is like you need to talk through some of these things, and you learn about not only yourself, but so you can communicate better about yourself, but then also you learn about your partner. That I think is just you're able to address these potential problems, right? or just learn about each other in a way to where there's some more empathy involved when you come into a tournament or a match where things are kind of heated or things aren't going well. Like, what are those pillars? What are those values that you're always coming back to, so that you at least can focus on that and not be so, result focused or result driven. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Take my money. I want that. I want that book.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like, okay, you think you're like, what does love languages have to do with partnerships? But I'm like, my love languages are quality time and acts of service. So for me, relating that to beach volleyball, I'm like, hey, I like a partner that sometimes helpful in bringing equipment to practice. So I don't want to always have to bring all the balls, or helping plan practice, like that's acts of service in my mind. Or quality time for me is, like, we don't need to be best friends, but I think if we're on the road, like, I enjoy going to dinner together, like going to a coffee shop,
I love
like
that too,
sharing those experiences together, because I think developing that bond and trust can feed into the court too.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome.
Whereas, like, I'm not a physical touch person, where I've played with people who are, so then I've like reluctantly given some sweaty hugs, but like, in those moments where it warrants it, and like, in the celebratory matters.
That is huge. And I think for everyone listening, I think like this is the part that a lot, like I guarantee like 90 to 95% people just skip, especially guys. I think guys are like too macho, to like have this conversation. I would sometimes even try like these conversations about sensitive topics with my beach partner, and I would be like, we would just sit in the room doing random stuff, and I would be like, hey, like, I wanted to ask you, and it would just be such a hard, like, awkward situation, to start. But I think, first of all, I want to find out where people can get the
on Amazon.
Okay, perfect, because I'll put in the link.
Okay, cool.
I want to get one.
Yeah.
I faced that issue many times, exactly what you said. And I can just go back to last 2 tournaments, because I play with new partners. We did not have a conversation.
Right.
We had 2 practices together, and I think conversation might be even more beneficial than a practice. But we had 2 practices to figure out the sets, and let's go to the tournament. And as soon as we started losing, I could just see my partner shut down. Mm-hmm. And in this case, he was getting served. It same thing happens for me, right? But he was getting served, and I saw him kind of like, start kind of almost like freaking out, not talking to me anymore. And I felt kind of like come talk to him, but like he was kind of there, just looking next serve, and I just felt like, wow, like we have no they just took connection from us,
Right.
And we were actually winning that match, and we slowly started losing, and then we lost the tiebreak, and it really felt like we're just like separated.
Yeah.
And after the match, I actually asked him that, and I was like, hey, when you get in trouble, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to tell you like, do you want me to like almost slap you, or be like, scream at you, like, come on, let's go? Or you want me to like give you an option, like, hey, high line is open, just do a high line. That way, like if your partner misses, you both miss, because it was your idea. So like you can share this kind of, success or failure in that one specific point. So I think that's huge. And Marina always talks about it. I know that's like John Mayer's theory too, is like, you need to know, let's start from one of the most important things, like, what does your partner need when he's in trouble? At least that.
Yeah.
Like, when you're freaking out and you're getting served and you just didn't side out 3 times and now it's 2019 for them, what do you need me to do?
Yeah.
Do you need me to shut up, or you want me to talk, or you want me to option, or you want me to set you? Because there's so many different partnerships, right? What they want, like different personalities. Somebody needs to score so they feel, confident. And I think that's huge. And I mean, I'm guilty. I do it a lot of times that I just go with a player, and even months after we never had that conversation. And sometimes like I think what it needs is just, hey, can we go grab coffee and talk about like this specific thing, because I really believe this is going to help us.
Totally.
And just taking the time, because we spend time talking bullshit a lot, especially guys. So just taking a little time of that. I thank you for mentioning that. I think,
of course.
I think people can learn from that, and they can use your book as a guidance. But any kind of conversation would be great. So curious now to pinpoint. Then you had different partners.
Yeah.
Were these conversations similar, or were people like fully different what they needed? So then that you had to adapt and be like, oh, with this partner I have to approach like this, and with this partner I have to like. did you feel because you changed so many partners this year that you had to shift, you know?
You know, to be honest, everybody was very different, not in a bad way. And I just think it was just nice to be aware of it. Like, it was something as simple as like, okay, this girl needs, when things aren't going well, she needs a little confidence booster. So like, you know, like giving her a compliment about something, like that really helped her change her frame of mind. Or somebody else was like, I just need something tactical. Like, okay, they're dug into my angle, like come in hard, your high line's open, something like that. Or, it's just interesting. Like for me, I get in my shell and I get really quiet, and sometimes I get disconnected, and it's nothing directed towards the other person, but like I tell them, I'm like, if you just hold my hand for a second, like versus just high-fiving me and going to our serve-receive spots, like if you actually physically hold my hand for a second longer and make me have eye contact with you, it'll like snap me out of this like rumination I've got going on in my head. So it's little things, and I think it's also important to learn that about yourself too, because sometimes if you initially ask somebody like, what do you need? And they're like, well, I don't know. And like, so you got to do that internal work too, to figure out like, what does it look like when I'm playing my best, and when I'm not, like, what are things that help me get out of that? So yeah, I mean, everybody's different, and I think that's amazing, you know, to like learn and adapt to that, and figure out what works best for you individually as a team, because, you know, like team dynamics are different too. But yeah, I mean, I just think empathy is like a really big word and value that I try to live by.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel the same way though. When I'm like, if I'm freaking out, if somebody just says like, hey, next side out, let's do this, I literally hear just like, and I'm like, didn't hear one word.
Right.
Like, I literally told my partner, you need to like grab me, turn me to yourself, and be like, hey, get your shit together. Like, listen to me, do this, this, because otherwise I'm like, and it's, as you said, it's really important to know what you need.
Yeah.
And even like going to like people who I coach, who are like from amateurs to, you know, like players who play during the weekend to players who play more often, like I even say you need to know what kind of set you want. You need to know what kind of pass you like. You like, there's a lot of players there that don't really like know what they want. So how do you expect other person to like help you like to set your, like, if you don't know what you want, you know?
It's like dating.
But sometimes we always think about like about others, you know? Oh, we don't like that with them, we don't like this and that, but we have to know what do we like, because that's really important, right?
Sure.
Like I feel from technique to that, again, mindset and relationship is really important, to be able to express what you like and the other person to express what they like. And then you can kind of try to combine that, and same as relationship, do everything you can to make that person happy. You know, you're not going to score every single time. Like, you know, like if Marine wants me to buy flowers and you know, like clean the house and this, that, I'm not going to be able to do everything. But if I do one of those things to make her happy, that might, you know, like make the day, and that might win the match. So
for sure.
Really, really interesting topic. Going then to coaching for Benny. So Benny was your coach, but she's your ex-partner. What you mentioned, like first AVP together, right?
First 4 years.
First 4 years. So I saw your post about it, but I think it's a really interesting topic. I think a lot of players would be scared of being coached by their friend, ex-partner. You know, you can see ex-partner if there's like, I see Plavins, for example, coaching now Fokker. It's in European, but he's like 20 years older than him.
Right.
20 years, I think, if not more.
Benny and I are the same age.
But this is different. Like you girls were best friends, and I mean,
we are really good friends.
Best friends and partners, and you know, so how was even that conversation like, hey, do you think this can work? Or did you fully believe like, these are the values that I want in the coach, you have them, I think this is going to work great? Yeah.
Well, I remember it was last year, and Tony and I were kind of looking for somebody to work with, and I know Benny had moved here to work under John Mayer at LMU, and the thing is, like, Benny and I mean, we've stayed so close after all these years, and she really understands me, and she's played with me, so she knows what that's like and what I might, like we were just talking about, like what I need in certain moments, like, and so it was, Tony and I also, that was when Tony and I were playing at the time, and I was thinking like this might actually be an interesting dynamic too, because Tony went to LSU, Benny went to LSU, so they kind of have the Louisiana ties and shared experience as well. And Benny, I've seen her coach in the box. She's like a very calming presence, which I like as well. And so yeah, we tried it out, and I think as the first couple practices, I thought my brain was going to explode because she does the whole John Mayer philosophy of like differential learning.
Yep.
So there's a lot of constraints put on you in very unique drills. And
Can you give an example just so people understand?
Yeah, so for example, differential learning, I don't want to botch this definition, but it's more or less, let's say I'll compare it to beach volleyball. So we're warming up some serve and pass, and so I'm doing passing a couple different ways. So like, let's say today, for example, at practice, she was like, okay, like you're going to alternate between a dumpster truck and a Prius. So meaning like right before I pass the ball, I'm doing a lot of movement. I'm moving my arms, I'm jumping up and down, and then I get served and I pass. And then the Prius, you alternate it with, the Prius would be like being as quiet and calm as possible right before you pass. So you're trying things different ways to see, it's kind of like just having different tools in your box for different situations. Or it's like, side setting and then jump setting, or setting off one leg, or having a quick release out of your hands, or a slow release like train tracks. So it's what it does. And like I said, I don't want to mess this up, but it kind of like does something to our neural pathways to open up our minds to like being creative in a way without being judgmental of ourselves. Which doing this early on in practice actually opens up the door in your brain to like be more forgiving and try different things and not be as frustrated like throughout the practice. So, and then we have like all these different kind of constraints at practice too, like, versus just playing a normal set. It's like, okay, if you have to pass the ball below the height of the antenna, and if you don't, you can only wash the point. Or if you pass below the height of the antenna, then you have to set above the height of the antenna. Or if you pass above the height of the antenna, then you have to set below. So there's like all these different weird ways about playing the game of volleyball versus like, just like doing different scoring. It's kind of like putting ourselves in this box and the idea is, so you're put in a situation in a real match. The real match feels way easier, right? And then at the same time, you also have all these different tools that you've worked on to get you out of situations. So yeah, that's a long-winded way of.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah, so it was really cool, and I think it was a new perspective on things, and I'd reached a point in my career where I was kind of like wanting to learn some new things as well, and I just feel like it's opened up my game to all these different perspectives. And yeah, so I mean, working with Benny is great. Like I said, she really understands me, and everyone else who I've played with has also been really receptive towards learning from her as well. So yeah, it's been awesome to have her support and have her. I know she's busy with LMU and her kids and her husband. So yeah, it's been really awesome.
That's amazing. Makes me want to go practice right now. No, that approach, I mean, I'm a huge fan, as I said, of John Mayer, and I pick Marine's brain about everything what they did at LMU, and I even met with John like a couple of weeks ago.
Awesome.
I was like, I need advice, so I just bomb him with all the information. But that way of approaching the game, first of all, it just feels like a game. Like volleyball is a game, right? And every practice you go, you don't really know what they're gonna like. Right, limit you with, but it just feels like a different game, almost like changing the sport, like you play different sports. Right. It's just fun, know, hey, this is a new game, this is a new game, this is a new game. So every time it's something creative rather than comparing to European style, how I grew up is like million passes, million sets, and million high lines in the corner. Yeah. And it's like, I still, after so many years, I can't tell what is better. I know John Mayer would claim that his approach is better, but there's still European teams winning a lot. So I can't say like, I had this discussion with my partner. Is it better to have two good things, like a good high line and a good angle swing? Or it's better to have 15 different shots, Yeah. And obviously this can get you out of, trouble, but if you're good enough in passing, setting, and hitting, you can win a match with two really good hits. But what I like in your explanation is what you said about frustration, because I can fully relate to that. As soon as I don't pass or set or hit the way I think technically should be done, I get kind of hard on myself when that's a failure.
Yeah.
Where the way you explain it is testing all of these things, there's no really failure. There's just different ways to do it. And maybe more efficient ways, let's say, talking about setting, if you fully extend, but if you in that moment with that certain ball feel like you shouldn't because it's spinny or whatever,
Right.
and you do it shorter, that's not a failure. It's just you felt in that moment that that was the right way.
Yeah.
And I feel it really clicks for me when you said like, you're more forgiving on yourself. I never heard that explanation from John about the style that he coaches, but that makes so much sense. Because for me, I'm so hard, and I'm working on that.
Yeah.
But I'm still really hard. Like as soon as like mistakes happen in a row, I boil. I'm like the guy from Inside Out, the anger guy. Like that's me. So
yeah, I mean, like I said, there's something to be said about what it does to your brain chemistry that allows you to be okay with making mistakes because you're trying something new and you're being creative. And like that's a big thing with me too about my philosophy on the sport is I want to be creative. I want to be, try different things, look a different way every time I'm hitting, and so people don't know what I'm doing. But I mean, I also think it's important to like rep things out too. So I think it's like having a mixture of both. Or just having the confidence that you can do it. I mean, it's like, we've put in so many years and reps of this, like we know how to do it. It's just sometimes also it's remembering the feeling of it and then being able to replicate that too.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. So since she's like, let's say, creating the structure of your practices, how important it is to have a coach? Would you be able to like continue without a coach at this point? Or you think like having a coach like makes the learning path so much like faster?
I've always had a coach, and I think that there's is she allowed?
Yeah, it's okay.
I can kick her off.
Okay. I don't know. We never had the dog on the couch. No, she is.
I've always seen value in having a coach because I think that sometimes it's nice to have an outsider's perspective, see things in real time, not just in the match when you're game planning and coming up with strategy against a team, but in practice. Like I also think it's nice to have somebody hold you accountable. I mean, I'm sure I could be okay without a coach now, but I see the value in it, and I've always been willing to invest in that.
How often do you go with a coach? Every practice?
I mean, I like to, obviously in the slower months, like the off season and stuff like that. Yeah, I maybe just go out with a group of 3 other girls and stuff, but I always come in with a practice plan, and it's typically
girls
something.
Girls are so good in that. Marine does the same thing. With guys, you come with a practice plan. If you don't specify before the practice that we're doing drills, it's a no jump, serve to each other, one side out drill, and then playing. It's always the same.
Well, and that's the thing is I'm going to come in with a practice plan, hopefully, and if someone else has an idea in mind, like we can collaborate on it. I'm always open to that. But for me, I'm like, I want to be really intentional with my time, and there's certain things I want to focus on. And I'll always, I'll ask the group, like, hey, like, I wanted to really focus on first ball side out today, or optioning. Nice. And typically everyone's like super cool about all of it. So I just want to be intentional with my time, and I don't want to waste anyone else's time either. So like if ideally I'm having a coach there, if not, then I'm always typically. But I'm also a big planner too. So.
That is awesome. Yeah. Well, also having like those creative practices, it kind of gives you ideas of like, I actually want to try this.
For sure.
And then some specific question about you, because I think that's your specialty is like routines. Like share some routines that you have. Like how do you recover? How do you prepare? I know you have a huge sleeping routine that Marine loves, and you actually recommended the sleeping mask that we're using right now, and it does work.
It's amazing,
What I think that the sleeping mask, what it makes me do is like, if I would wake up, let's say at 6, 7 when the sun comes out, like I would wake up an hour later and I'd be like, wow, I just slept way longer than what I'm used to because, or naps. I would wake up from nap, I think I'm like, it's another day. I would be dead. But no, share what you find useful.
Yeah.
And what would you recommend to others?
Yeah, I think in the past, I'd say in the past 4 or 5 years, I've really made a change in regards to recovery. You know, like ever since I'm 36 now, so when I turned 30, I was like, okay, like my body's not the same as it was in my 20s. You know, I definitely have limited a lot of things like alcohol intake and made sleep a priority. I read this book, Why We Sleep, and that book probably changed my life.
Why We Sleep?
Why We Sleep, yeah.
Okay, interesting.
And it's all these like really interesting studies, but it basically says like sleep is the most important thing in our lives. Like it's more important than water, it's more important than food, it's more important than exercise. Like if you don't sleep, you're doing yourself a huge disservice to your health. That's not just your body, but like your brain as well.
Wow.
So yeah, like routines, I mean, you know, I go to bed at like 8:45, 9 every night. And
wow, awesome.
I try to not look at my phone or a screen before bed, or if I do, I'm using blue light lenses. I don't have caffeine past 12 p.m. I'm not exercising later in the day. These are all like typical things that can affect your sleep, patterns. And I'm not trying to eat so close to bedtime either. And then, but the reason I also wanted to make changes is because when I got the Oura Ring, I noticed that I was only getting like 10 minutes of REM a night.
Wow.
Which is really bad. Like the average adult human needs around an hour and a half to 2.5 hours of REM a night, which is really important for recovery and memory retention. And so I'm also really susceptible to light. So that's why one of the first changes I made was I bought an eye mask. And there's ones that because I didn't like how it put pressure on your eyeballs, but there's ones that have like a divot, so you can not have the pressure and you can still blink under them, which is really nice. And then I started taking magnesium glycinate, so I researched some things that help with sleep. And then I use a sound machine too at night.
Wow.
So I'm like a baby. So sleep was a big priority. Those are like some typical routines. And once I started to do those things, I mean, my REM score went way up, which was awesome to see the results. I mean, I'm getting like an hour and a half to 2 hours of REM a night, which is great from 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then for recovery, I mean, I do the occasional ice bath, the occasional sauna.
Not regularly,
No, not regularly. I've been researching more on ice baths, and it hasn't been as beneficial for women as initially thought because it really spikes our cortisol levels. So I've been doing a lot of work with Kaylee York last year, where I learned, and when I froze my eggs, where I learned more about like my hormones as a woman than I have in 1 month than I did like my entire life leading up to then. So I think that's been a big thing for me too, is just seeing how, depending on what stage I'm at in my cycle, like there's certain things I should or shouldn't be doing exercise-wise, food-wise. So yeah, there's just like lots of things I think that have really helped with. And you know what? Here's another thing, is I think everybody is different, and I don't think there's like one right workout.
Yeah.
You have to learn what works best for your body. And working with my trainer, CJ, has been great because a lot of it, since I've started working with him like basically 30, 31 years old, and it's been all about injury prevention. So of course I'm building strength and stability and mobility, but like the idea is doing testing in real time, seeing what my body's showing on the data, and then adjusting my workouts to make sure that I'm not getting hurt. So that was for me, like I didn't really know how to use the data. I tried Whoop for like a year or something, maybe even longer. And I just I'm a typical Serbian, European style. If the coach says 5 practices a week, I'm 5 practices a week. Right.
If it's Monday, Tuesday, gym, and then Thursday, Friday, no matter how tired I am, I'm going. Like if I had 2 hours sleep, I'm going. But that's kind of me being, young Serbian. But now, like, if I feel bad because I have hernia, herniated disc and shoulder tear, and if I feel bad, I skip it. But I never learn how to use the data, and I think data goes really well with having someone who actually has the knowledge, right?
Right.
So I encourage everyone who work out, like, don't work out alone. Just get a strength coach. People go to school for that. They do bachelor's, master's. It's a whole science. You don't know it.
Yeah.
Like, you know how to lift weights, but you don't know how to prime yourself, how to prevent injuries, how to find
sure.
what's weak on your body. And that's why people are there, like, to teach you and to actually guide you. So I never mix the data with the person who has the science background to actually, like, use that. So I didn't find it useful, but I know that you track it a lot, and you probably share it with your coach, right? And then that's kind of a successful mixture, right?
Yeah, and going back to kind of investing in a coach, like, I've always invested in a trainer, a coach, a team, working with my sports psych consistently. Like, there's a lot of things that I think people don't realize they can do to help bring out the best. And, like, having a team around you rather than just your beach volleyball partner, I think is important, because if you, for me at least, I like the investment is worth it. And I like to think that it's shown. Regardless, though, of the results, like, there's so much that I've learned from each of these individuals that I've worked with that have just made me the best athlete that I can be.
That's amazing. Yeah. And I always mention there's so many aspects of beach volleyball. It's not just technique. It's technique, mental, strategy, communication. Like, there's so many aspects, strength, that each of those aspects should have a specific person, again, who has a background in it, who spend years learning it. I consider us volleyball experts. We're experts how to play beach volleyball. We're not experts in mental, physical, you name it. There's so many aspects. So for me, it took me years to understand that. And I'm almost excited sometimes when I think about it's just me and my partner. It would be so cool if I add this person, let's say next season I want to have a coach. That's going to be great because I never had that coach, or whatever. I want to have a mental coach, and that's going to be great because I'm going to unlock.
Yeah.
It almost, like, makes me confident, like, I'm going to be unstoppable if I add this. That's amazing. And hearing, like, how deliberate you are with that, it's awesome. And I really believe that's a part of the secret how you're so successful with different partners, because you do the best to make yourself really ready for different scenarios.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And then we're short on time now, but I'm just curious to hear your future plans. What are we going to see you on the world tour?
Maybe.
That would be exciting, because I know Marina always talks how you like to watch games, and you follow American teams on the world tour, and it'll be fun. Like, she watches a lot. I try to watch, but I don't have time too much during the day. But it would be fun seeing you out there.
Well, thank you. Like, maybe.
Just for me, it was always a test. Just seeing what, with everything that I have, where am I right now? And sometimes it's nice. And if the partnership work out, like, I don't know who you're gonna play with next year, but if it works out and we can see you, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll definitely be playing a lot of volleyball, so we'll see what this next year holds.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then maybe for the finish, any advice for young players or players who've been playing for a while but feel that they're stuck? Like, they can probably learn a lot from what you mentioned, but what would be advice if somebody comes to you and be like, I'm stuck. I've been playing for so long and I feel like I'm not improving. What would be the first thing that they should do?
Well, I mean, going back to what we talked about is, like, what changes can you make that, like, could help your growth in areas where you feel like you need it. So if it's on the court, maybe trying out a few different coaches to seeing what resonates with you, or what potential you could see with that, working with that person. Or if it's, you feel like your body's been broken down and you've been limited in that way, like, how can you find a trainer that hears you and can figure out a program for you that's going to bring out the best in you in that sense. Or if you're lacking confidence, like, maybe it is seeking out a sports psych or someone in that nature to kind of help you get out of that funk, or even just, like, reading some different books on that stuff too is really helpful. But I think you got to, like, figure out what your goals are, and then writing out, like, how you can go get those goals and what changes you can make that are within your means, and within reason. So
So
yeah.
you want to say that just playing volleyball a lot is not enough for them to improve?
Well, I mean, it's you playing. I mean, experience goes a long way. So like playing more, I always encourage. But sometimes if you're feeling extra stuck, especially for somebody like you said who's been playing a long time, I think making one or a couple of those changes could be really beneficial.
Yeah. Well, that's inspiring. Geena, thank you so much.
Thanks
for sharing your story.
Of course.
I was really excited to have a first female guest.
Yeah, I'm honored.
And I'm happy that you said yes, because I wasn't sure how are you with time and stuff, but
yeah.
I'm really happy that you came, because I learned a lot, and I know that people are going to enjoy just hearing how you think and how much effort you put in to be the best version of yourself as a player and probably as a human too, right?
Yeah.
So that sleep routine goes a long way. I don't know if people can copy that. That's we added a couple of things.
Nice.
But, we start going earlier to bed and use the mask. But
yeah.
I think adding anything from a person who is that much committed, like even stealing a couple things for other people, can be really beneficial.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate you coming to share that story.
Yeah.
I really wish you good luck for next year.
Thank you.
Hopefully see you on the World Tour. If not, we'll follow you on AVP.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And this was super fun.
Thank you. I have a present from our sponsor.
Oh,
it's
nice.
a Polar Gold CBD cream.
Sweet.
If you have any pain, it's pretty
nice.
Pretty strong. I like it.
Perfect.
If I have hernia or like herniated pain or shoulder tear, anytime it shows up, I use it. So
cool. Well, thank
hopefully
you so much.
Find it useful.
Thank you. Yeah,
and,
always.
And then I think we're gonna see you in the next episode, probably next season, after you make another crazy success, like winning the league and winning AVPs.
Yeah,
and
that's the goal.
all your rewards. Thank you so much.
Thank you.